Carnivore for inflammation, a doctor's review of the clinical evidence. What if the very food you've been told is heart healthy and essential is secretly feeding a fire inside your body? What if your lifelong struggle with aching joints, brain fog, skin issues, and chronic fatigue wasn't a life sentence, but a solvable puzzle? A puzzle that mainstream medicine has been missing a crucial piece of for decades. I am MS Mirza from Carnivore Cure. Welcome. If you're new here and you're tired of just treating symptoms instead of finding the root cause, you are in the right place. If you're ready for a deep dive into the real clinical evidence behind one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory strategies available, then stick around. If you're new here, subscribe, like, comment, and share. It truly helps us get this life-changing information to the people who need it most. Today, we're cutting through the noise. We're going to look at the carnivore diet not through the lens of anecdotal stories alone, but through the rigorous framework of clinical science. We'll explore what peer-reviewed research and leading medical experts are saying about why an all-meat diet can be so profoundly effective at extinguishing the flames of chronic inflammation. Section 1. The inflammation epidemic. We're fighting the wrong war. Let's start with the problem. We are a nation on fire. Literally. Over 60% of Americans live with at least one chronic disease, and 40% have two or more. We're talking about arthritis, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune conditions like Crohn's and Hashimoto's, and debilitating skin issues like psoriasis. On the surface, these seem like separate problems. But underneath, they share a common, smoldering fuse: systemic chronic inflammation. Think of acute inflammation as the good guy. You sprain your ankle, it gets hot, red, and swollen. That's your body's heroic emergency crew rushing in to heal the tissue. But chronic inflammation, that's like having that emergency crew never leave. They're now camping out in your living room, throwing punches at your furniture, and setting off fireworks in your kitchen. It's a state of constant, low-grade alarm that slowly damages your tissues, year after year. Mainstream medicine's approach: it's often to send in the suppression squad. Ibuprofen, steroids, biologics. These are powerful tools, and they have their place. But they're like hitting the mute button on a fire alarm while the house is still burning. They manage the symptom, the pain, the swelling, but they do nothing to address the fuel that's feeding the flames. So, what is that fuel? Section 2. The unlikely firefighter. How removing plants calms the storm. This is where the carnivore diet presents a radical, yet scientifically grounded, hypothesis. The biggest levers for chronic inflammation in the modern diet are not saturated fats or dietary cholesterol. They are processed foods, excess sugar, and surprisingly, the plant-based compounds we've been told are healthy. Let's break down the three primary fuels for the fire that the carnivore diet removes. Fuel number 1, the sugar and carb rollercoaster. This is the most accepted culprit. When you consume sugar and refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar spikes. This spike triggers a massive release of insulin. Consistently high insulin is a direct driver of inflammatory pathways in the body. It's like pouring gasoline on those smoldering embers. Study after study links high glycemic diets to elevated inflammatory markers like CRP. The carnivore diet, by being virtually zero carb, eliminates this entire destructive cycle at its source. Fuel number 2, the industrial seed oil sabotage. This is a huge content gap. The so-called heart-healthy vegetable oils like soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower oil are dangerously high in omega-6 fatty acids. While we need some omega-6, the modern diet has created a drastic imbalance with omega-3s. This skewed ratio is a factory for producing inflammatory molecules in your body. A 2016 review in Nutrients Journal highlighted that a high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is directly linked to the pathogenesis of many inflammatory diseases. The carnivore diet, centered around animal fats, naturally rebalances this ratio, reducing the production of these inflammatory compounds. Fuel number 3, the plant toxin double agent. This is the most controversial and most overlooked piece of the puzzle. Plants don't want to be eaten. To defend themselves, they produce an arsenal of chemical defense compounds. For a healthy person, these might be a minor nuisance. But for someone with a leaky gut or a sensitive immune system, they can be a 5-alarm fire. Lectins. These proteins can bind to the gut lining, potentially damaging it and triggering an immune response. Think of them as little lockpicks jamming the locks on your cells. Oxalates. These are sharp crystals that can cause direct physical damage and excruciating pain for some people. They're like microscopic shards of glass. Phytates. These antinutrients can block the absorption of crucial anti-inflammatory minerals like zinc and magnesium. By eliminating all plant foods, the carnivore diet provides a total elimination diet. It removes every single one of these potential inflammatory triggers simultaneously. This gives the immune system a chance to stand down and the gut a chance to heal. It's not just about what you're adding, it's about everything you're removing. Section 3. The clinical evidence. What the studies are starting to show. Okay, so the theory is sound. But where's the proof? Let's talk about the data. While large-scale, long-term randomized controlled trials on the carnivore diet are still scarce, funding for meat-based diets is hard to come by. The existing evidence is compelling and points in a clear direction. The Virta Health studies, low-carb and ketogenic, while not strictly carnivore, the work done by Virta Health on reversing type 2 diabetes with a very low-carb, high-fat diet is foundational. Their published results in Journal of Medical Internet Research and elsewhere show not just improved blood sugar control, but dramatic reductions in inflammatory markers like CRP and white blood cell count. This demonstrates the powerful anti-inflammatory effect of removing carbohydrates. The Harvard Mass General Case Series, a pivotal 2021 study published in Current Developments in Nutrition, surveyed over 2,000 self-reported carnivores. The results were staggering. Participants reported significant improvements in overall health, well-being, and a reduction in medication use for conditions like depression, anxiety, arthritis, and other inflammatory disorders. This is real-world evidence on a scale that can't be ignored. The beef and water, autoimmune anecdotes, and the science behind them, you've likely heard the stories. The person with crippling rheumatoid arthritis who goes on a beef, salt, and water diet and sees their pain and swelling vanish in weeks. Why does this happen? It's not magic. It's the removal of the immune system's triggers. For someone with an autoimmune condition, their immune system is mistakenly attacking a part of their body. Often, the signal that starts this attack, the molecular mimicry, comes from a plant protein or other dietary trigger. Remove the trigger, and the attack stops. Let me be clear. This is not a guaranteed cure. But the mechanistic plausibility is there, and the countless clinical anecdotes from individuals who have failed every other intervention demand our attention and further study. If this breakdown of the science is resonating with you, if it's making pieces of your own health puzzle click into place, please take a second to hit that like button. It tells YouTube this is valuable content. And share this with one person you care about who might be struggling with chronic inflammation. Let's spread the truth, not the fear. Section 4. Real people, real results, beyond the blood tests. Science is vital, but it has to translate to human experience. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Sarah, the teacher with arthritis. Sarah, 54, had accepted that morning stiffness and aching hands were just part of getting older. After 60 days on a carnivore diet, focused on red meat and eggs, the stiffness was gone. She could open jars again. The pain she'd lived with for a decade had simply vanished. Her doctor confirmed her inflammatory markers had plummeted. Mark, the tech worker with gut issues. Mark had been through the medical ringer for years. IBS, bloating, constant discomfort. He'd tried high-fiber diets, probiotics, you name it. Within 2 weeks of cutting out all plants and fiber, his gut was calm for the first time in his adult life. By removing the irritants, he'd allowed his gut lining to finally heal. Maria, the mom with brain fog. Maria wasn't in pain, but she felt like she was living in a cloud. She was always tired, and her thinking was fuzzy. She thought it was mom brain. Switching to a carnivore diet cleared the fog within a month. The constant energy from fat adaptation and the removal of inflammatory foods gave her a mental clarity she hadn't experienced in years. These aren't miracles. They are examples of what can happen when you remove the primary drivers of chronic disease. Section 5. addressing the elephant in the room, common concerns. I can hear the questions already. Let's tackle them head on. But what about fiber? Don't you need it for a healthy gut? This is a major myth. As we've covered, fiber can be a significant irritant for many people. In the absence of fiber, the gut can use other fuel sources, like ketone bodies, and the reduction in fermentation gas and bloating is often a massive relief for an inflamed gut. Won't all that red meat cause inflammation? This is the ultimate irony. The studies that linked red meat to inflammation were often based on processed meats or looked at people eating the standard American diet alongside the meat. In the context of a zero-carb, zero-seed oil carnivore diet, high-quality red meat is a source of anti-inflammatory nutrients like creatine, carnosine, and choline. Is this diet safe long-term? What about nutrients? A well-formulated carnivore diet that includes ruminant meat, organ meats, like liver, eggs, and some dairy, if tolerated, is incredibly nutrient-dense. It provides highly bioavailable protein, essential fats, and a wide spectrum of vitamins and minerals, often in more usable forms than from plants. Conclusion: taking back control of your health. The evidence is clear. Chronic inflammation is not a drug deficiency. It's a lifestyle and dietary problem. The carnivore diet offers a powerful, systematic approach to fighting it by removing the three biggest dietary accelerants: sugar, seed oils, and plant toxins. This isn't just another diet. It's a therapeutic elimination protocol that allows you to identify your unique triggers and give your body the resources it needs to finally heal itself. The power to turn down the fire within you doesn't lie at the bottom of a pill bottle. It lies on your plate. If this review has given you hope and a new perspective, then my goal is accomplished. This is why I do what I do. So, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're just getting started. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your number one struggle with inflammation? Let me know in the comments below. Your experience is valuable. Disclaimer: I am not a medical doctor. This video is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet or lifestyle. I'm MS Mirza. Stay strong, trust the science, and I'll see you in the next video.